Hello and welcome to another edition of XFeed. First of all, thank you much for tuning in. Thank you very much for tuning on. And we do these shows every single day. If you got a friend you want to let them know about it, appreciate any like, shares, and comments on the video. If you were here this far and you're waiting to leave the stream because I haven't said anything insightful, listen. We're in 2025. We got to snap out of it. We got to lock in and be prepared because we are almost at Uptober, as they like to say. So today's stream, we're going to go over the NFT commercials that I was watching a hockey game last night, and one came on my feed, and I was like, what in the halibut did I just watch? We have SBF's return. We're going to go into some of the details and some of the ramifications of what's happened for that. We did drop a new RWA SegMints podcast, so we are going to highlight that as well. And if you guys got any thoughts as we're going along here, appreciate any comments afterwards. Our questions, happy to answer and discuss pretty much whatever as we're going on here. So this post was deleted. This is where I want to start. So J Bond posted this saying Alpha Rekt, the coin, NFT, the brand, we've covered it pretty extensively of them having basically like a drink brand, right? So Rekt FaZe Clan, the esports team, today in KBW, OSF Rekt not only announced Rekt energy drinks, but also their strategic collaboration with FaZe for it. The last energy drink who collaborated with FaZe ended up being the top energy product of 2023. You're not bullish on Rekt enough. So if you go and you like actually try to click on this, tweet's gone. Oh, so somebody must have said, hey, this conversation we're having right here, we're trying to keep this just for the people here, or maybe they were wrong with their breakdown, but that looked like a screenshot that showed the FaZe jersey, everything like that. So maybe that is some alpha that's coming through. But again, major Web3 based brands working with major brands elsewhere. We are paying attention. Pretty big news. Tether is seeking a $500 billion valuation at explorers, raising up to $20 billion. The conversations around stablecoins, USDT, all that kind of stuff. This is why we talk about it, because there is an infinite amount of money that seems like it's going to be coming on chain. Here's Michael Saylor talking about Bitcoin on CNBC.
You know, I think the real story in Bitcoin right now is corporate adoption. We've got a consistent acquisition of Bitcoin by the big ETFs like BlackRock, and that's taking up all the natural supply, and they're doing that on behalf of institutional investors. But these 180 companies that are capitalizing on Bitcoin are buying even more than the natural supply being created by the miners, and they're putting upward pressure on the price. And I think that as we work through the resistance of late and some macro headwinds, we'll actually see Bitcoin start to move up smartly again toward the end of the year.
Okay, so every day you just wake up, you go on the news, and there's something positive about crypto. And this, you know, the narrative that we've talked about on stream lately is about the positivity and how people are going to gravitate towards others or in the communities that are just having like a good vibe around them. And I mean, obviously, like the price going up or whatever is going to be an absolute key to that. So do people jump into the space just to feel alive again? That might very well be it. Simple Mining saying Bitcoin ran from 15,000 to 124,000. This would be the same as going from 124,000 to $1 million. Nobody is prepared for that. Well, you might be, but yeah, sure, we'll go with it. Nobody's prepared. So everything that's positive within the crypto space seems to be like absolutely negatively cascading within the real estate markets. Home sales are headed for their worst year since 1995. Now, this comes at the same time that you'll log on the news or see different people say, if you have a job right now, make sure not to leave it because you're not going to find another one. What happens within these AI advancements across every single sector? What does that look like? People are going to absolutely need a place to stay. So, yeah, I don't think real estate is going to die, but very interesting to see. We're kind of in crypto up, home price down. It's almost like two complete different ends of the spectrum. So I thought for a second, and I went on a little bit of a gallivanting, just trying to find some like crypto commercials because of what I saw when there was like literally an NFT commercial in the middle of a hockey game last night. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but here's one regarding Bitcoin back in May of this year.
If a Bitcoin was the size of a quarter, all 21 million of them would fit inside a single shipping container. But to fit the dollars the Fed prints on average every day, you'd need 72 shipping containers. Each year, you'd need 26,280 containers. And to fit what they've printed in the last decade, well, you need a lot more than that.
Shit! Yo, what a banger commercial. Bravo. Who the hell wrote that? Listen, they are hired. Okay, so that one I would say is like a 10 out of 10 if I'm going to give it a rating. Curious if you guys have any takes, but then I saw this one as well, and this one is from back in June, so just a few months after.
2012, you need 30,000 Bitcoin to buy this house. A decade later, it had only cost you 20 Bitcoin. And today, it could be yours for 5. If home prices keep falling in Bitcoin, why do they keep rising in dollars?
All right, listen, these guys, listen, that's hard to argue. So one thing that we do on a weekly basis is every Tuesday, which we didn't drop it yesterday, I dropped it this morning. That's no problem, no harm, no foul, is the RWA SegMints Podcast. And this past week, I talked with Ben Elvidge, who is the product head of uranium.io. So the world is getting every single asset tokenized. And yes, uranium, where you can actually take like physical delivery of it. It's a huge, complex, crazy thing. But basically, we talked about making tokenization make sense. We go through rapid fire questions. And if you want to check out the link in the description below for that episode, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to find that, or on my bio on X. But here's a quick clip from the episode that we dropped today. One thing that I've also tried to mention here and there is making reference to NFTs, because from 2021 to where we are now, there has been so much experimentation within that specific tokenization realm where it's digital only for the most part. Obviously, NFTs have grown to be a lot more than that, but there was a huge experimental phase for that. And now we're talking about how we're going to have trillions upon trillions of assets getting tokenized on chain. So do you think that NFTs actually pave the way for the more serious side of commodities and real estate to get tokenized?
Absolutely. And I think like anything, right? Any good product and any product that's worthwhile starts in a smaller niche. And I think for me, NFTs sort of prove that digital ownership could be something that you could apply to something that's scarce, unique, verifiable, but also then making that tradable at scale. It did create this mindset that actually I can own this digital thing and no one else can own it for the time that I own it, and that has value. And as well as it also built the infrastructure rails through that proof of concept and then the scaling of that industry. So,
proof of concept is what I want to linger on here for a moment, because when we talk about the experimentation of everything Web3, when we talk about just that aspect right here, where it's a proof of concept for everything, this is all a complete experiment. You've seen some experiments turn out quite well within the industry, and other ones turn out not the greatest. So keep an open ear, keep an open eye, and it's fun following this journey with you. Again, if you want to check that out, that is the most recent episode 70 of the RWA SegMints Podcast. American Express is now offering NFT passport stamps for travelers. Now, this was an article back on September 15th, and I remember talking about this on stream. I don't know if there was like much to necessarily talk about at the time, but the Batsuyum here saying, I've always thought digital collectibles like this to be an excellent use case for NFTs, travel, concerts, movies, etc. A bunch of iPhotos really doesn't do it justice. Okay, so American Express cardholders can now receive NFT passport stamps showing the countries they visited as a way to commemorate their past travels. I love that. I don't know why we're fighting it. It's great. Like right now, if you go and you travel, right, like you have your passport with the stamps in it and that's it. But what if the agent kind of like, takes the stamp and they don't put a whole lot of pressure, or you don't really get like the full vibe of it, and it's like, it's not forever if the pages get damaged. This is like a collectible online you can have forever. Like, it's great. I absolutely love it. I don't know why we're fighting it. So SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried. Who is SBF? Well, he was the head of FTX, which was a crypto exchange that collapsed a while ago and ended up making international news across the world at a point. And he is also just a massive figure within the crypto space because of the role, similar to CZ, similar to Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. We could go down a list. And we know that he is in jail, but he did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Now, it came out that the interview with Tucker Carlson, they were like, naughty. You're not supposed to do that. So apparently they moved him to like a high security prison or something along those lines. But then this post comes out and allegedly there was a response to this. Yeah, you can see right below. No, SBF is not posting himself from prison. I'm a friend posting this on his behalf. So very, very weird sort of deal where you're like, okay, like we think that it's this person, but it's just someone acting as that. So how do you feel about that when we talk about making sure that you're interacting with the actual person? Kind of weird. But it had some ramifications. Apart from the fact that 9.7 million people saw that with their own eyeballs, the FTT token from FTX skyrocketed 60% in 12 minutes after he posted it. Why do these sort of things keep on happening? So NHL Breakaway, I saved the post because this is like my reminder to bring it up on show, but this is somebody who next to their fish tanks of various sorts is showing off their digital collectible of the Stanley Cup. So NHL Breakaway, I'm watching the game last night, right? And there's this huge ad regarding NHL Breakaway. And I was like, holy smokes. I don't know if I've seen many like NFT related commercials ever. And I'm watching the local TV and NHL Breakaway is on there. He shoots, he friggin' scores. Core 143. What's going on? I don't think I've ever said 4-3. It's very weird. I feel off now that I said 4-3. Is that your favorite number or was that just like the only thing that's available? But back to the point. With NHL Breakaway, this is on Suite. I believe Suite also has MLS Quest, which again, MLS Quest has done like basically nothing. So I'm not really sure like the how good things are going on the Suite network, but the fact that they're advertising is pretty nuts. So I mean, if we, what do we look here? Sure, a Taylor Hall moment of sorts. I don't know like how long to play this for because wait, Taylor Hall is on the Carolina Hurricanes. When did that happen? I feel like I definitely missed something at some point in time. Well, you can see it. We're not going to go through it, but basically you get to watch a moment, right? So it's the same concept as a lot of these other sports-related NFTs, but we're seeing commercials about it. People are wanting to collect. We can go down a list. Very exciting. Suite also has a Telegram game to earn score, their token. So Suite has a score. Well, I guess that would make sense for sports. I'm trying to be critical for some reason, even though like I really don't need to be that way at all. Azuki is teaming up with Story Protocol, which we highlighted yesterday that Moonbirds was doing something with, to accelerate community co-creation with Azuki IP. Upon the completion of Azuki's programmable IP license, Story ecosystem partners Verse8 and Ablo will allow Azuki holders to build and monetize their unique IP alongside the Azuki brand. Okay, so the IP supercycle component of it, I think, is going to be huge. And so to get even like more in depth with the conversations that we're having around NFTs, collectibles, etc., we have seen where that punk strategy token has come out. And for anyone that's watching the stream that you're not really familiar with, basically the concept of it is that it fees, there's a 10% tax on every buy and sell of it. If there's enough volume of it, when you get to a certain point, that pool automatically goes and buys a CryptoPunk, and then it relists it at 1.2x the floor. If that CryptoPunk ends up selling, then that all of the revenue or whatever from that is used to buy back the token and also burn the supply. So it's a very interesting mechanism on its own. However, what they've also done is now made this possible for basically every single NFT collection if they want to. So Bored Apes are doing it. Azuki's not Azuki's doing it, not yet at least. Moonbirds are doing it. Meebits are doing it. And we're starting to see like this big conglomerate of collections that are doing this. Now, all of those ones that aren't the punk strategy one, there's like 2% of every sale that goes back to the punk strategy one. So again, there's like this massive flywheel. But the point being is like, let's say that you buy the Bored Ape strategy one. If Bored Apes end up ever going up in price, well, there's automatically buyers that are going to come back and do because it's already got like a base layer. And obviously it could all implode, be horrible. I'm pretty intrigued by it. But the concept with this, right, is like for Azuki, for all these collections, what does it look like if all of these NFTs are able to get in like a more liquid way where people aren't forced to go out and purchase, I mean, like for an Azuki, let's see like how much one of these things are. Because it's like, how do you get in these ecosystems if you don't own these NFTs? Well, I mean, maybe the owning like those strategy tokens that are associated with it. So it's 1.49 ETH. It is 6,200 American dollars right now if you want to get into an Azuki. So do you have $6,000 to do that? Maybe. Maybe not. Would you want to allocate that much to it? Not really, but you could believe in the concept of NFTs, like certain collections about it. And I think the experimentation side of things that we're starting to see, and I'm mentioning like throughout these streams, is like, it's really exciting because we never know what's going to come around the corner. Yo, Martin, what in the hell? What's going on? How are we? What are you doing? What's new? What's exciting? SBF is back. Please tell me it's only in POG form. Well, he's not back. Apparently it's just like a friend that stole his account and tweeted good morning. At least he knows the Web3 lingo. That's literally all that matters. Okay, so what I'm about to highlight is gonna it's gonna trigger people. So I'm gonna give you the warning right now. But there's a reason that we need to bring this up, because when we talk about crypto, when we talk about the transparency of things, and when we talked about when Operation Choke Point in crypto was, if you tried to tell anyone that was happening, they would just say, nah, you're full of crap. Like that industry is just kind of weird, right? And then so here's this, right? And obviously every side of the spectrum, I don't care, you do you of anything. But Justin, YouTube admits the Biden administration pressured them to censor Americans and offers terminated channels opportunity to rejoin the platform. So we have like a bigger entity that's like, hey, you're not allowed to talk about these certain things or whatever. And this is the concept with the whole decentralization. And it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter until something directly happens to you. And last year, theoretically, I could have been deplatformed just because I talked about crypto. And we've seen that happen before. Like we've literally seen channels, multiple ones, ended up getting shut down. So I think at some point, we're going to have a huge influx of people caring about decentralization because of the centralized platforms that can get affected from extenuating circumstances. And I'm very curious what that sort of looks like on a bigger stream, right? Because I mean, all the platforms that we're streaming on right now, none of them are decentralized. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily like a bad thing, right? Like obviously centralization has a really good component to it, and sometimes it's needed and if not desired. But it's like, man, reading that headline after knowing the whole project Choke Point 2.0, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, that's it. Yo, Dowser, thank you so much for reposting the stream. I appreciate you. Roar, what's going on? Hi, how's Web3 and crypto doing today? Bitcoin is up. I'm in like an all right mood, even though we have some like massive problems happening in a certain ecosystem, it seems like, but happy to be here with you guys. And again, if you want to talk about whatever, feel free to let me know. And I don't no idea what's going on, but my X notifications are going absolutely crazy right now. So appreciate if something's going on, but I feel like it's a post from earlier. To be completely, oh my goodness, I got to put this on the screen. To be completely honest, NFTs are only sugar-coated with a roadmap. NFTs that are only sugar-coated with a roadmap won't last. It's all rooted in speculation, artificial hype, manipulation, and empty promises. What truly has the potential to save NFTs is the art itself. Collectors and believers who purchase and collect NFTs for the art, nothing else, bring real value. When there are convictions, that value becomes priceless. Yo, Sungo, what's going on? How are we? I love this take. I really, really do. Because I remember back in the time when I first started getting introduced, and we would sit there and we would look at collections, and sometimes something would just hit for everybody. Sometimes something would just be like, all right, you know what? I like the look of it. And sometimes everybody ended up hating it. But we got to a point where everybody had to come up with a roadmap because they wanted to copy what Bored Ape Yacht Club was doing. And it's like, we forget history so much. Like you look on the timeline and you say, oh, okay, like that Bored Ape Yacht Club, like that's cool. They're doing events, whatever. But like, you have no idea how much like they've paved the way or done things that other people have followed. How do I contact you? If you happen to have X, if you want to send me a DM on there, that would probably be like the easiest spot if you just go to Schillerverse, or if you happen to be in the Discord. I don't know if like the ! Discord still works or not on here. But if you want to leave a comment on the video afterwards, I can try to link you for the Discord. I'm guessing this is a take for outside of NFTs that are just art. Example, Justin Aversano. Well, no. Because like, let's talk about it for a second. If these models are based off of some future utility, right? And that future utility doesn't come, are you going to be happy having it just as art? And the answer is probably no. But the collections that exist just because they're art with no promises, well, you don't have any quarrels with it, right? Like there's literally no problem, because when you have some sort of like utility that's embanked in an NFT, you are needing to pay for whatever that utility is, right? Like, the only time that it would like sort of make sense is if I hypothetically speaking, of course, I was like, all right, I'm doing an NFT, and for every Wednesday stream, it's only going to be like for people that want it, right? And then it's like, I can literally just get up. I don't have to do anything like, all right, I have the webcam, I have to pay for the internet, whatever, but it doesn't cost me anything. For the utility that all of these collections are offering, from the concerts to the other collectible airdrops to all of this sort of stuff, all of it costs money. And we saw the royalties pretty much got canned for NFTs. So how are those teams going to be able to deliver an environment such as that? And that's where I think the roadmap aspect of it is really, really cool, but it's something that people are going to end up avoiding, because also everybody's human. And if something goes wrong and you say, hey, we had this on a roadmap, and then it doesn't happen, well, then you are basically in the doghouse from everyone. I remember the day when Schiller became an art critic. Look at the lines on that PFP. Spicy. And we really saw so many different collections that came out, like Wonder Pals, Cool Cats. I'm trying to think of a couple other ones, but there was like a rotating, like, cute type meta, and they all partnered together. It was one of the weirdest times that I remember in this space. So a little bit here from Bill Noble. Guys, what the hell is going on? We have 20 plus notifications right now. I normally don't get any. This is weird. Little Lemon Friends, Corwin. This is good. This is good. Roar, I think I know this answer. If the collection is promised to be art, but is a one-time release, it's sort of okay to not deliver any utility, but collections that every month launch products. They can't launch art galleries every month or 3 months. IT is needed utility. Games at advantage, something that can sustain the ecosystem. Well, all those things are so expensive, right? Like, think of the burn rate that would happen. Like, I mean, off the top of my head, right? Like, if we say hypothetically that each of us makes, I don't know, let's hypothetically say like $2,000 a month working for somewhere, right? And let's say there's 10 of us, okay? So $20,000 a month is needed for that team to be able to operate with whatever they're doing. So where does that $20,000 come from except for an initial mint, right? And then you're like, okay, the initial mint's happened. Are we charging a subscription fee to make sure that we get money? No. And that's why I've kind of said, I don't actually hate that idea around the utility-driven NFTs. But and again, even like, $1,000, $2,000 a month, whatever. Like, I mean, that's still like fairly low if you're trying to go for like the top dogs. And in Web3, you want to hire all the people that used to work at Disney, Netflix, and then you can go around and brag about it, right? That's one thing. I feel like people are like very backwards, standoffish to saying, oh yeah, we got somebody on a big team now, because people are realizing it doesn't really mean anything. So a comment here from Bill Noble that's super interesting, and you might have missed it, but breaking Nvidia stock surges to a new record high of $184.55 after announcing a $100 billion investment in OpenAI. Nvidia has now added 200 billion of market cap over the last hour. Here's Bill. To put this into perspective, the 1 hour change in NVIDIA's market cap is 30 billion more than Sol's entire market cap at 170 billion. It's almost time to buy everything in crypto. And I thought that this is a very interesting take, because on his streams, he's very much talking about how, like if a single stock is this high and crypto is just like moseying along, what's going on? What's going on, baby? Pengu takeover in Seoul continues at the Pengu K-pop event. This is your last chance to get some Pengu merch. I think this is super cool. When you go around, you check it out. They got merch. They got all the goods. I don't know if this is a donut. I don't know if this is fruit with like some kind of glaze on it. I have no idea what the hell that is, but looks all right. And yeah, I just think that's super cool. And also Triple Cosmos, I guess, is a K-pop group, 216,000 followers here. But these are all like the K-pop group going out, and they're all wearing like Pudgy Penguin merchandise. And people are like, woo! Are the is that food peachy penguins. That's actually not a horrible thought. It really isn't. All right, so I got distracted with the phase one because I actually had like some more posts that I was planning on bringing up and talking about. So uno momento, por favor. Oh my God, maybe I don't. That was like the second last one. I didn't realize. Just in Chinese publicly traded GUZ Holdings approve up to $1 billion investment in Bitcoin and crypto. I'm curious for like anytime that sort of headline hits the timeline, is it like, what do we think? Do they put like 10% into altcoins? Do they do more? Are they going like Bitcoin only? Unreal. Also, Major League Soccer's tonight. Inter Miami is rocking and rolling on that front. Yeah, okay, never mind. I kind of completely lied. There's not a whole lot on there. So any comments, concerns, questions that we got? I might hang around for a moment because it feels like you guys are all hanging around. I also need to see why the hell I have 20 plus notifications, which is like not the case. And if for whatever reason you guys are really liking and sharing the stream that much, what in the halibut is going on? But Roar, Corwin, Snazzy, Sung, Sungo, does that work? Like if you hit me up on X, or is that like a no comprende, amigo? And Martin, I appreciate you coming through. When Time Machine back to April of 2021. Back when things really started. Well, I mean, if you think about it, so NBA Top Shot at the end of 2020 was when things started picking up a little bit, because it went from a platform with about like 50 people, and it was basically just the dapper employees at the time, to Top Shot going crazy, to Zed Run going crazy, to Bored Ape Yacht Club minting, and then going crazy to the launch of Gutter Cat Gang, Doodles, Cool Cats, and everything. Actually, Doodles, I feel like, was a little bit later in the year. Or was that 2022? It's wild to think about how quickly some of the collections came out once NFTs were like a thing. And then what followed that is everybody going out and saying, well, do you guys know that every team that's launching these collections are the same people? And now, I'm not saying for the collections that I just mentioned, but a bunch of the ones that just ended up disappearing, there was a lot of different studios that were just simply offering that for people, where you could go, create the art, we're going to run it, we're going to do this. And there was a lot of the same team running these things. That's when Bored Apes minted, if I remember correctly. I got into the space via Top Shot January 2021. So yeah, I think it was like April 30th. April 30th was when the Bored Ape mint like revealed. I want to say, maybe I'm wrong with that, because we have the stream. Give me 1 second. What's going on, Oons? How we doing? I imagine that would be the same groups. Yeah, that was the case. So we looked at our old NBA Top Shot footage the other day, but what if we do the same, but this time for Bored Ape Yacht Club? Holy God. Okay, so this is back in May 2nd of 2021. This video has 20,000 views.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you're watching. What's up? You've probably seen all over Twitter this crazy, crazy thing with apes. You might be sitting there thinking, I want in, or this is the weirdest thing ever. So, it's called Bored Ape Yacht Club. Let's take a little bit of a peek at their website. Again, the ultimate thing with Bored Ape Yacht Club is the art is absolutely amazing.
Yo, what did we say about the art earlier? Yeah, triple double banger.
So as you can see in here, this is kind of their rendition of a club that you're able to kind of get in on. These are some of what the different apes look like. There's 10,000.
So I want you to genuinely think about this for a second, right? So back in the day, you didn't know what any of these looked like. Sure, if you were following on X, you could have seen a couple of other reveals. But if you've seen these on the timeline today, if you saw that this collection, not knowing anything about it, just what the art looks like, would you have ended up minting this for, I think it was like $250? Genuinely. Do you think that is appealing enough to you to go and do that? Because that's the mindset you have to like remember back in the day, because everybody looks at like, oh, there's these things, it's huge. Would you have put $250 into these digital drawings of an ape? Screams red flag. It's nasty.
Of them right now. We'll go into that in a little bit. But essentially, they are one of ones. So you can see how there is, one with a pizza mouth, one with a halo, this guy with the diamond grills. There's different rarities, and all of this can be found if you go to OpenSea.io. And then once you're in here, you'll be able to see if you happen to own one, what these are. The prices for them right now.
The best offer was 0.236 at the time.
You can see we have offers up here for, 0.25 ETH, 0.23 ETH. The floor on these are rising quite quickly. They just got the check mark for verification. The official drop for this happened literally just the other night. It was just 0.08 Ethereum to get in on it. There was no price ramping or anything. And if we go to
Okay, so that's a relevant topic to discuss at the time, because what a very common methodology within like the NFT mints was like a bonding curve of some sort. And you guys in the chat right now are absolutely hilarious. But the so basically it would work where like the first purchase of it would be I don't know, let's say like $50, and then the next one would be like $51, and then like it would ramp up exponentially, where like the last one of a collection could potentially cost like $100,000 in theory. Yeah, the effing curve, unbelievable. So there was a lot of different like methodologies, and people realized like, yeah, that just doesn't really work. But Bored Ape Yacht Club was one of the clubs, or sorry, excuse me, NFT collections that like just didn't do that.
Go to the buy now and sort from the lowest to the high. We can see that the floor price for them are at 0.38 ETH. The day after, or kind of the morning of, it was at 0.1.
So this is also like another thing to like know with it is like the collection, I think like pretty much just like got traction right away. Like outside of the first week, there might have been one or two sales that were like under floor, but like since its inception, like from 0.08 to 0.38, and I mean, if this was May 2nd, again, April like 30th, like this was pretty damn close.
1 ETH. So these are kind of going off the shelves really, really quickly. There's a lot of communities being made about it. A lot of Twitter spaces, a lot of, Clubhouse calls. I'm trying to do some stuff on Twitch where we kind of talk about that and you can kind of show off your collection. But really, it's a whole bunch of fun. So talking about the kind of launch of this, they have the
amount that I say it pisses me off. I wish that I edited that out. What are your thoughts on other side, and will they ever release the second batch of land they promised? Apparently that's scrapped, by the way, so they aren't actually launching the second set of land, so maybe that's bullish.
Fair distribution going on, so the bonding curves are a Ponzi. There are no bonding curves here. Buying a Bored Ape costs 0.0 ETH when you originally bought them from the site. There are no price tiers. Bored Ape Yacht Club membership costs the same for everyone, and then obviously they are sold out here. When you were originally able to mint them, you disconnected your MetaMask, and before the launch, in terms of being able to see what your ape was, when you went to OpenSea, it just showed this image here, so you didn't actually know, but it went in order. So if we look at my account, I can show you guys when I originally bought. It was...
Oh, God. Oh, yo, that's like $8 million right there that we're looking at. Oh, my. Yo, and then there's Hoonsy's art collection down there.
Minted within that order. So I bought ape number 365 at the time, and then 366 because it's pretty much back to back. And then you can see the different tiers here. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're super rare. So the ones that I've found out are rare are the ones like the Diamond Grills here. The offers for that right now are at, 0.5, which are pretty good for an offer, but I know these are selling for a lot more. And the trait of them and what people are looking for is the rarity. And so for the grin of the diamond teeth, it's a 0.78% chance to have that rare trait. So if you go into OpenSea and you click on properties, you can see all the different ones in terms of what's rare. So the least rare aspect of this is the fact that it's an aquamarine background. So I've seen a lot of people like that. And something that's really, really cool is I've also seen people that have started to mash up ones with similar backgrounds, and the images just flow. Some people are going, for the fur color, or if they have the teeth or certain outfits. People are building different collections for different reasons, or, just buying whatever one they're able to afford, which is really, really cool. So back to the launch topic here is when it reached 6 p.m. the other night, they needed one more sale to open up the apes for everyone so they could see what they got. One of my moderators, shout out to Jeremy NFT on Twitter. He was like, hey, pick me up one. I don't have the funds right now. I got to go to the exchange, but I want to get one. So he bought one, and we were... the ones that activated the launch for everyone. So that was really, really
Yeah, okay, so I feel like I did a super crappy job of explaining that. So the way that it worked was back in that time, they had the mint that was open, I believe, for like about a week, but it had that unrevealed state with like the question marks on it. And it needed like the first mint at 6 p.m. on the 31st or 30th, whatever day that it was, would be the one to reveal. So theoretically, if nobody bought after those initial ones were like minted before 6 p.m., the collection wouldn't have revealed. But we were the first one because Jeremy's like, yo, I don't have funds. Yo, you got me. I'm like, hell yeah, yo, Jeremy. And then we bought it. And then I think in the other video, when we have like the launch stream, because I did upload the launch stream, if you go to like the YouTube page and you go to like popular videos, I think it's like the second or third video beside this one. And you can see like Gordon Goner being like, yo, you started it.
cool. There really wasn't that much hype at launch, and then we were starting seeing some really big players in the NFT space jump on board, started posting on Twitter, and you know there was a couple hundred apes that sold at the launch, and then at like about 4 a.m. Eastern in the morning, they just started absolutely flying.
So I vividly remember this. I was up until I want to say like 1 or 2 a.m. and I was like, man, this feels. I need to put more into this. I don't know why I had like just that inclination. So I woke up at 2 a.m. Well, sorry, again, like I was awake. So I guess I got out of bed at 2 a.m. And then I saw in the Discord that Blau, who's like a big musical artist that was also a pretty big NFT collector, and Pranksy joined the Discord. And there wasn't really that many like big names back in the day. And so it was like a pretty big deal if you had somebody of that stature that was paying attention to what's going on. And I'm like, I'm getting like a weird feeling like this is going to sell out. So I pinged the Discord. I at everyone at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I think there was a couple people that got out of bed to end up minting. And it's funny because I've met people at like NFT NYC and other events. And a few of them have been like, yo, thank you so much for that ping. That like changed my life. And it's a very surreal feeling being like, yeah, I just cover stuff that's happening in the digital world, and I pinged some people, and that changed their life. Like that's nuts. So what I'm hearing is the last 4+ years has been the Schillermageddon from a single purchase at 6 p.m. Yes, pretty much. So you sort of saved BYC and NFTs, crypto and Web3 by buying these BYCs back then. I did not save anything, but Roar, I appreciate the thought.
Off the shelves and seeing kind of what it's doing right now is really cool. So there's 10,000 provably rare bored ape tokens. Fair launch, fair distribution. All apes cost 0.08 Ethereum. Ownership and commercial usage rights given to the consumer over their NFT. So we have some people that are designing variations for their art or for other people's apes and able to sell them on OpenSea, no problem whatsoever. The bathroom, a members only graffiti room. So the bathroom is something where you're able to just drop in a pixel. So when you look here.
Yeah, what do we have? Hoonsy, didn't you go crazy on this? This is before you. Oh my God, it's right here. So it was something where there was like a 5 or 15 minute counter where you were able to add another pixel of a color. And this is the start of Hoonsy's face right here. The man was working on a masterpiece. Yo, you see TrueCon on here? Where's TrueCon? Yep. So some people just went for like names. A lot of people just didn't want to go through this. This eventually got crazy and they've made it into a whole lot. You got Dingaling on there and other people just trying to draw different stuff. It's crazy. But like this was the utility back then for NFTs.
Wow. Shout out to TrueCon right there at the bottom, a homeboy. I don't know how some of these people have been able to create like an entire drawing for it. I think Hunter is working on his face right there, which is killer. And somebody drew over my initial red square here, so that's kind of weird. Basically, every 2 minutes you're able to drag and drop.
2 minutes.
And change something. So if I wanted to screw up anyone else's thing on here, I can do that. That's maybe the only thing that I don't really like about this. However, if you want to spend some time to draw out this stuff, you are able to, which is cool. And then in terms of their roadmap, people are like, hey, what is the reason to buy these?
Okay, so we've talked about roadmap earlier in this stream. For anyone that's tuning in a little bit late, maybe go back and restart the stream so you can see kind of a full picture. Because we've talked about how roadmaps lead to certain things, certain expectations. What did the original Bored Ape Yacht Club roadmap look like?
Ultimately, it's really, really cool. However, there is utility that's going to be added to it. So once they sold 10%, which obviously, you know, this entire list, they've sold 100% now. But at 10%, they're going to pay their mums back. At 20%, they released the Caged Apes, 5 Caged Apes tokens held back from the Saylor airdrop to random ape holders. And I thought they were some kind of different art style, but really it was just 5 apes that somebody got for free, essentially. So that's kind of cool. At 40% sold, the Bored Ape Yacht Club gets its own YouTube channel, Bored Ape Yacht Club Lo-Fi Radio, beats to ape into shitcoins too. So on the stream, we always listen to background music, and so I'm excited to see what they come out with that one. At 60% sold, they have member-exclusive Bored Ape Yacht Club merch gets unlocked, featuring limited edition tees, hoodies, and other goodies, and I'm really, really excited for that. I hope that I'm able to jump on board, because all my clothing is from my old job right now, and I'm down to pick up some of this gem. At 80%, the clubhouse image becomes interactive and the mysterious note becomes legible. Beginning a treasure hunt, the first to solve the mystery will be rewarded 5 ETH and a Bored Ape. So we'll see if the good homeboy JVB is able to crack that one. But if you're interested in getting 5 ETH, that'll be unlocked in a little bit. 90%, the Bored Ape liquidity pool is initiated. We don't really know what that looks like, but that's something to look forward to. And then at 100% sold, the Mutant Ape, or NFT breeding, arcade machine gets fixed, and we cook up new ways to ape with our friends. So I've talked to a few people. Apparently, the developers are fully aware that people are afraid of, oversaturation in a way, and they're going to think of creative ways to make sure that doesn't happen. And
because again, remember, like that was one of the first times ever that like a companion collection was hinted at, and that's what ended up ultimately becoming the Mutant Ape Yacht Club. They did the Bored Kennel Club drop before, but that I don't think that was like initially intended. Really excited for merch. Looks in closets. Still have 4 unopened boxes of BOIC merch. That's crazy.
Stated numerous times that that they got us. You know what I mean? They it was funny because I messaged one of the guys when the launch was happening, when it really started ramping up, and he said that they thought they were failures, 2 nights before. But it's crazy to see such an amazing project.
So that's I think a conversation with Gordon Goner, because I messaged him, or like he hit me up because I posted this and he was like, yo, I'm gonna send this to my family, like it's really cool. And that's where I guess like the human element comes in of like, hey, those guys just thought of something that was like, we're gonna try to put this out there, we have no idea what the reception is, and it ends up being one of like the biggest things crypto's ever seen.
Take off the way that it is. So if you're wanting to get into Bored Ape Yacht Club right now, if you go to OpenSea, make sure that you type in Bored Ape Yacht Club, and you are looking at the ones with the verified collection.
So volume traded at the time 1.3 thousand, right? So 1.3 thousand. Few days after, and then for now, the volume is 1.6 million. From 1,300 to 1.6 million.
There might be other ones in here that are similar, but we want to be looking for the one with the verified checkmark. You can see recently listed, all that kind of stuff, and you can offer apes on other people that have them. The only way to buy them is Ethereum. If you're wanting to do like PayPal or whatever, you'd have to find somebody with a collection that they're looking to sell from that way, and then potentially be able to do it that way. But that's it for me, and just want to give you a quick little...
I don't know why the hell, like I mentioned PayPal. That seems super weird. Basically, it started NFTs in a lot of projects. I do think that it brought a lot of insights back to it. Yo, Narmac, what's going on, brother? Long time no see. Wow, actually, Narmac, where the hell have you been? I feel like I see you in the Discord, but I don't know if I see you on the stream all the time. But good to see you. Hope you're doing well and you're looking good. Probably are. True. Pretty wild to go back to that time. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like there was CryptoPunks and all these other things that like tried to create something before, but like when we talk about like a real community type centric, and remember at the time a lot of the people were coming from NBA Top Shot, so what they did was people started like making these apes their profile, and then it was like, oh, okay, like they're in the same collection or interested in the same thing as me, and people were doing deals and lending funds and doing all this crazy stuff, and it was like really this conglomerate effort. And people were excited to be around a community. And obviously this was at the time when the world was very close to shutting down, if not getting to that point. No, I don't think that happened as of yet, but like it definitely sparked a hell of a lot once that did happen. But like, oh my goodness, what a time. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. I got to go and do like sports commentary. So yeah, welcome to tonight's game. We're going to have a good time. That's me when we're not doing this sort of stuff. So I got a piece. I thank you guys so much for coming on through. Hoonsy, Snazzy, Narmak, Roar, Corwin coming on through. Singo, I don't know if you ended up leaving or if you ended up staying, but let me know if you want to do anything. Again, Dowser, shout out for you. Thank you for sharing the stream and anybody else that did so. If you do have any friends that are somewhat interested in crypto, you're probably the only one in your friend group. But if you want to send them the stream, be like, yo, you might find this guy somewhat interesting. Helps me out a ton. We get more people that we get to talk to here. Thanks for coming on through. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.